Hi everyone. In this video, I'll show you how to assemble these accordion journals that I've made with Cricut Design Space. As always, if you'd like to get this project, there's a link in the description right under this video. Have a look there. Before we get started, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you don't already. This is the accordion journal that I showed you in my Facebook group. I gave you a quick look at it. So we're going to assemble one. Before we get started, I wanted to show you the materials that I'm using because I always get a lot of questions about a material list. So this is the chipboard to make the hard cover. What I'm actually using is the back sheet that you'll find on Cricut cardstock. So any of the cardstock packs should have this cardboard in the back, and I really like it for doing journals, and I used it for my advent calendar. It's a really nice thickness. It gets really solid when you add your cardstock, but it's still really easy to cut with your Explore or Maker machines. I cut with my fine point blade. I just press go twice without unloading in between. So these are the two sheets for the front and back and your spine. Of course, we're going to assemble one, but I wanted to show you the materials. For this one that I'm making now, I'm using this pattern cardstock. If you can see, it's gold on white. I think it's really pretty. And I didn't really find anything that I liked for the spine, a different color. On this one, I used a black and gray for the spine, but I didn't really find anything that I liked to go with this. Maybe a solid red, but I am doing red sheets on the inside. So I'm just going to go with the gold on the spine also. Those are the decorative sheets. So we have the two panels that we need. I'm using 8.5 by 11, so I've cut two, and we're just going to give them a tiny overlap to make the solid sheet that we need. I've had my machine miter the corners to keep it easy, and I've added score lines only at the top and bottom. And you're not going to fold these really stiff. They're only to be used as markers for where to center your chipboard or your cardboard, and the sides will deal with after the chipboard is installed. These are the two panels that will go on the inside, covering the edges so that you get a nice clean finish. And this is the cover for the center spine. And then you need 10 sheets of 8.5 by 11 that will become these accordion folders on the inside. I'm using red on this one because I wanted to make a striking difference with the white and gold. And each one has score line on it. So again, I used 8.5 by 11. But the finished book is about 5.25 by 8.25, approximate. So it's a really nice size. You can do a lot of journaling in this. I haven't decorated them yet, but I'm working on ideas for that, for the things that I use to decorate with. So before we get started, that's it. Just wanted to show you the materials. So let's get on to assembling one of these accordion journals. So we're going to start by folding and assembling our accordion pages. This is the shape that you're looking for here. Let me set that aside so you can see better. So you have that card shape and you have the extra lip along the edge. And that lip is what you're going to use to attach to the spine. So all we're going to do is fold the card in half. You have a score line. Fold the card in half, and then you're going to fold back towards you that second score line that creates the lip. That's all you have to do to get these ready. And that's the shape you want. So let's get the last two done. I've started assembling some of the accordion folders, so the video won't be too long. So fold the score line, and then I'm going to fold back the lip. That's all there is to it to get the pages ready. And assembling them as an accordion folder is really simple. And I really have to give a shout out to Rosa Kelly for posting this style. I think it's terrific. Hers is gorgeous, all done by hand, of course. She doesn't use a cutting machine in it. And I thought it would be fun to have a version that we could use with Explore or Maker. So these are all ready. So to assemble them is very easy also. You'll take two. Make sure this is well burnished. We'll take two. Turn this one over so the lip is facing down, because down is where it's going to attach to your spine. And we attach these two together with adhesive to make it into an accordion folder. So I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive. I imagine you could use two-way tape, adhesive tape, but I'm not sure how well it would hold in a journal that might be opened and closed many times. So I'm just going to line them up, and we'll tap this piece in. Make sure it's aligned properly, even at the top. And we'll just press it a little. I'm not using my bone folder to press it because I find it scrapes the cardstock and makes it shiny. There we go. That's all there is to it, and then it folds like this, like accordion. This is the edge that will go on the spine, and it will open and close like this. So super simple. We can assemble another one so you're more comfortable with it after seeing it a few times. I'll turn this over because it's freshly done, so it's popping open. I have two. Yes. Turn that one over. And we'll add again adhesive. This is Tombow I'm using that I've put into a smaller bottle. Line it up again. And then we'll just push this down behind. Make sure it's lined up on the edges and even at the top. There we go. All nice and straight. There we go. And there's another one. Ready to go. I'll put it underneath. And my last one. So you will have 5 accordion pages all together. So we'll do that. Last one. I use a good amount of liquid adhesive. This fold down. And we'll just push that in behind. Make sure it's lined up on the edges. Simple enough. All nice and straight. Make sure it's adhered. We'll let this dry and we'll move on to assembling the cover. These are the 2 pieces cut from 8.5 by 11. If you want to assemble it as one piece, maybe use 12 by 24 cardstock. The only thing with that is 12 by 24 is usually 100 or 110 pound, which will make the cover very stiff, and it might not be as easy to work with. I find it easier to use a 65 or 75 pound cardstock to make the cover. So I'm overlapping about 1/4 inch. I'm going to use adhesive to secure them together. You can also do it just butted up against each other, but in that case you would want to put some tape down, some kind of tape, washi tape even would work, down the center of the spine to make sure these stay together properly while you add the chipboard. But I'm going to overlap a bit, so I'm just going to add some adhesive. Let's straighten this out. I'm using the measurements on my mat to make sure I get this even. So I'm just going to add some adhesive down the center. You don't need too much. You're just making sure the cover stays together. And this overlap will not show when we add the decorative panels. So I'm just going to attach this on at about 1/4 inch. You have excess space, so you don't have to worry about being perfectly accurate for 1/4 inch. It's still going to fit. There we go. That should do it. That should keep it in place. I know it's hard to see white in a video. Now we're going to add our chipboard. We do have some soft score lines here that you can bend a little. I wouldn't make them really stiff because you don't want to see score lines on the outside. These are meant just to be markers to line up your chipboard. I guess we could do these, I could do these with a pen instead. Might be easier to see. That looks about right. Make sure it's centered. And we'll put the spine on first. So then we can gauge the gap for a chipboard on the front and back. So I'm going to use this big bottle. It does run quite fast, so it will be easier to add the adhesive to the chipboard. There we go. Don't forget all this chipboard is going to be covered. And we'll try adding that to the center again. Make it straight. That looks about right. And I'm going to push it over a little bit. Make it more centered. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to use my brayer to make sure that it's well adhered. I love this Cricut brayer, it's so handy. I use it for so many different things. So we're going to add this side, the front and back, I should say. So you want to leave a gap just about wide enough for your chipboard to be able to fold up. So one way you can do it, if you have a scrap piece, you can just place it along your spine and gauge where this will go. So we know we need just a small opening like that. And you want to place them even with the top and bottom, and you can see the corners have been cut to miter. So that's a nice size gap. That should work perfectly. Add lots of adhesive to make sure it doesn't come loose. There we go. Even with the top, and I'll make my gap about that size. That should work nicely. That should work nicely, and I'll use my brayer again to make sure it's well adhered. That fits nice. Okay, so our last one. Now that we have the first one done, we know the space we need for our second one. Looks good. And brayer that. Make sure it's all adhered. And it folds nicely. I'm going to run my bone folder into the gaps. Just work them a little bit. Don't press too hard. You don't want to tear your cover. And that works nicely. So now we're going to fold over the top. Once again, if you prefer, you can use two-sided tape to tack it down. I prefer liquid adhesive, so I'm just going to add that all the way along and into the corner and fold that down. See how handy this brayer is? It's really terrific. And while the adhesive is still wet and pliable, I'm going to work the score line here a little bit. And I'll do this one. That looks perfect. And we're going to do the same with the bottom. This is why I like the overlap for the cover. I find it gives you a nice edge. There we go. We'll add some adhesive here. Push that up. Make sure it's well adhered. This is the same way that we made the cover for the Advent calendar. If you made that, you'll be familiar with doing this. There. Just work the score line while the paper is still pliable. That should do it. And that folds nicely. You can see what a nice spine we have. Nice and clean. So I haven't put any score lines on the side because, as you can see, when I placed my chipboard, I'm a little different on the sides, but that's not a big deal because it's going to be folded anyway. So now, before I fold it, I'm just going to run my folder along it to make it easier to fold. And we'll do this side too. There we go, that'll make it easier to fold. And we'll work it a little bit before we add the adhesive. And this is going to be covered. so it will look nice and neat. And we'll just add our adhesive. I'm using plenty of adhesive to make sure it doesn't come apart. Again with the brayer. That will hold nicely. And then we'll turn it and fold up, work it a little bit so we get some nice clean corners. Very nice. Add our adhesive. Fold up again. There we go. That's perfect. And there's our cover. All nice and clean. Looks great. So, well, I'll get this away. We don't need this. That was just a way to gauge it. We have the two covers for here to make it nice and clean. One for each side. And we have the one for the center. So this will go on last. So let's start with this one. I think I'll go back to using my smaller bottle for this. These little bottles can be so annoying. They're great for getting a small amount of adhesive, but they clog so easily. I only put it down for a few minutes while I switch to the larger bottle, and it's already not running again. Okay, we'll use this bottle. At least we'll get it done. Okay, so you want to get it kind of even around. And I'll use my brayer. We have our second panel. These pages or in covers are all going to be decorated anyway. Let's get that on straight. There we go, that looks good. And my brayer. Okay, so the center is going to overlap this a little. We're going to put adhesive on the chipboard instead of on the back of this because we don't want to adhere the folds yet. We want to score them after we get the center on. So add some adhesive, make sure we have a good amount. Try to stay even with the edges of your front and back covers. There we go, that should do it. I use a lot of adhesive, don't I? Okay, we'll try to get this centered. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect because you're going to do a lot of decorating. Okay, so put that on the center. I'm going to brayer it. And then I'm going to look for my score lines. And I'm going to score lightly. That should do it. That looks good. And we'll do this side. Make sure we got that right. That looks good. So now that I have this scored, I'm going to add a little adhesive here. And press it down, but I'm going to make sure it stays flexible. We want to be able to open the book and close it. So that looks good. Make sure the score line is still working. Be gentle. You don't want to break your cardstock. Okay, that looks good. And we'll do the same on this side. We'll add some adhesive here. Press it down. And again, we want to fold our score line, fold our spine, I should say. So you just want to play with it. Keep it pliable. Don't be too rough because you don't want to tear it, as I mentioned. Let's see if we can press that down. And we'll do this side too. And that looks perfect. We can close it perfectly, and we can open it if we're careful because it's new. There we go. That's our cover. I need to let that dry before I play with it more. Okay, so next we're going to add our sleeves. Before we start adding our signatures, they're called, our accordion folds, I wanted to show you that when I was off camera, I was playing too much with the score line. I pressed too hard and I tore it. So I added a patch on top of it. I didn't want to remove the entire cover for the spine in case I tore the rest of it. So I thought I'll just patch it. We won't see it anyway. Once all the leaves are installed and the back is decorated, it will be fine. You won't see the patch. I'm not even sure if you can see it in the video, but I did it. I tore the spine. So when you're scoring it, you really don't want to be pressing too hard on it. So for the signatures, apparently these groups of papers that will go into journals are called signatures. We're just going to line it up. See, this fold is going to be flat down. We're going to line it up in the center. Make sure that you can close it properly. It's pretty much right up against the scored line. And that's how we're going to add the first one. This fold will be towards your left. So let's go ahead and add some adhesive to that fold. Okay, you want to, I wouldn't use two-way tape. I think that two-way tape would probably end up pulling out. So I wouldn't use that. So we're just going to turn it over, line it up. You want it centered top to bottom, of course. And then we'll just fold this up and make sure it's landing in the right place. That looks good. It needs to dry, of course. And this is how the accordion works. That looks good. For the next one and all of the rest, again, you're going to face the fold towards the left, and you're going to put it right up against the previous one. I found it easier, if you can see, right up against. I found it easier to open this one to make sure that I was even and butted right up against the previous one. If you can see that, I hope. So we'll add some adhesive to this one. You might find it's easy just to hold it straight and butt it up against, but to double check, I found it easier to then open the accordion fold. That looks about right. And we'll take a peek. I have some adhesive there. And that looks good. Butted right up against. And even at the top and bottom. So we'll close this one. And just make sure it's well adhered. And that looks good. And it opens easily. Perfect. Okay. And we're going to continue like that with the next three. Add our adhesive again. We will butt it up against. Make sure it's straight. See, I overlapped. We want to make sure that's straight. That's why I find it easier to open it up so I can see, because I didn't notice when it was closed that I had overlapped. This way I can see that I'm not overlapped. I'm just butted up against the one before. I think it would be cute too if you put something decorative on these folds in between the signatures. I think that would be cute. And we'll pull this one down and make sure it's well adhered. A couple more. And if ever you want to make the spine wider, like 3" or 3.5", if you want it to be wider, you can add more signatures that way. I'm adding 5, but they expand to 4 5x8 panels on each side. So you end up with a good 40 places to journal and decorate. Okay, let's get this one in. Make sure I didn't overlap this time. That looks good. Oh, I need to slide it up a bit. That looks perfect. All good. And we have all the room we need to add our last one. We'll go in. Make sure it's well scored. There we go. Make sure we're not overlapped. Close that up. And there we go. And that's our 5 signatures all installed. And each one is definitely well installed, and each one opens up and you have double side to work with. Isn't that terrific? I love this. Again, the first time I saw it was by a creator called Rosa Kelly, and I thought it was really terrific. No fuss to install the signatures. You don't have to worry about stapling or sewing the spine. I think this is a great idea. And we're going to add our decorative covers. Of course, on the inside, I'm also going to add decorative paper and pockets and work it all up on the inside. So I will show you that again when it's finished. But I won't do it all on camera because that will be a very long process. But I will do a little video just to show you how it turns out when it's finished. Okay, this is I'm going to put it on this way. Yeah. Doesn't really matter, but there we go. I'm going to turn this upside down just to make sure it's well adhered. Lovely. I like the gold and white. That's very pretty. Okay, I'm going to use, whoops, it's flying. I'm going to use this end, I believe, on the spine. Doesn't really matter because there is a white space in between, but I'll use that on the spine. Time to order more Tombow before I run out. I certainly use a lot of Tombow, especially because I make trial versions of everything that I share. So I really use a lot of adhesive. Okay, let's get this even with the top and bottom and center it. Beautiful. That looks good. Very pretty. And we'll get the back panel on, and I use that as the top on the front, so I will do the same on the back. And we'll add this one. Make sure it's even with the top and bottom on the front and side. There we go. Lovely. Very nice. And there, our outside panels are all installed. It's white and gold, I think I mentioned a couple of times. And it's very pretty, and we have our red signatures on the inside, accordion fold. And this patch I'll cover with a nice decorative panel on the back and front, and probably add pockets also. And then I'll get on to decorating the signatures. So I hope you like this accordion folder. You'll find how to get this project in the description right under this video. I hope you're going to make some. Please post photos in my Facebook group if you do. I'd love to see how they turn out. Thank you for watching.